what is key in your view to building strong and winning portfolios?
So I think just like we discussed positioning, and I would use that framework, segmentation, targeting, positioning, apply that onto your category lens to identify the right spaces for your brand and then craft your portfolio. So it's not just the portfolio, it has to check off everything else that we discussed till now, be it the value creation model, the persona, or the current extension strategy, all coming together. Let me use a reference from dishes now, which is quite interesting. When we started out, we were a fresh meat and seafood brand. Yeah. Now think about this as an axis. At one end, there is, say, Anne, who's an expert cook. She can cook up absolutely anything, fancy dishes, things of that sort. And maybe on the other end, there is a novice cook, someone like myself, who can barely cook to save her life. I mean, pandemic has taught me, so today I can make up some very interesting dishes, but pre-pandemic, Meghna, let's call it. So if you have a novice cook and an expert cook, and imagine that as an axis, and then imagine another axis of convenience, yeah, something which is easy and something which is complex. So when we plotted our portfolio against that, we realized that the complex cooking for someone who's very good at cooking, our raw meat portfolio does a very good job, yeah, and it can operate well there. But when you looked at people who are first-time cooks, not very comfortable, or even the expert cook who's in a hurry, wants to get something done very quickly, etc., we didn't have anything in that bucket. And that's when we got started on that journey and built out what we call a ready-to-cook portfolio. Yeah, things which are almost pre-marinated, par cooked to a fair extent. So all you need to do is to, kind of turn on the pan, put in some oil, put in the dish, and rustle it up in like 6 to 7 minutes time with very little else that you need to do. Now, that was the insight that emerged from using this kind of a strategic framework. Now, even the framework that I'm using, I use cooking expertise, I've used convenience. You can overlay this thought process with even different demographics, because it opened up new demographic segments for us. In the ads that I've shared with you, you'll see one of them is for the ready-to-cook product range, and it targets the younger audience. Folks who are maybe 20 to 25 years old, maybe just stepped out of home, staying by themselves the first time, and cooking is not a part of their regular habit. Versus the other segment, which are more families with kids, older people, and that way you can target them also quite differently. And why this is very interesting is when you come into the digital world, it allows you to target audiences based on these kind of interest segments. And taking this like one step forward, for example, this portfolio strategy, the persona that I drew for a ready-to-cook product, yeah, we found a very strong overlap on people who like to game, because gamers tend to be more of this profile. And then we were able to build our portfolio with this range of products within the gaming segment using the digital ecosystem. So I think, to go back to your core question on how we do the portfolio, use the principles of segmentation, targeting, and positioning to use the right vectors for the category, find the white spaces, and then build out your portfolio. Also try and make sure that you have non-overlapping audiences, you have different channels of communication, so you get far greater ROI by expanding the pie for your consumers. So it's not the same person who's getting 3 different messages, but you're actually able to go to 3 different people. But having said that, everything that I've said till now, fresh meat, both of them have fresh meat at the core. Both of them are about entropy. Both of them are about a human persona. So I think those anchors still remain the same.
Lovely, thank you. And of course, not surprisingly, that the way you explain it, key to basically a great portfolio, winning portfolio, is going to be, again, consumer understanding. And of course, something that from a business point of view needs to be looked at is how do you then create that portfolio in a way that you will create your optimum and profitable growth, of course. So thank you very much for these examples. It's also very helpful that you give an example so that's easier to illustrate and to understand that.